Hey friends, over 60% of you are listening to me right now on an Apple product. iPhone, iPad, iTunes. I need your help. The truth is, Apple will make this podcast more discoverable to new listeners the more reviews it has. So I'm here asking you to take a moment and leave a review. If you've gained any value from this podcast, the greatest thing you can do for it, besides spreading the word and telling friends, is leaving a review. It's real simple. If you're on your phone, head over to my podcast page within the Apple Podcast app and leave a review. Or if you're on a computer, you can head over to my podcast page within the iTunes app. That's it. That's all I ask. And if you have other podcasts that you love, do them a favor and do the same for them. It'll make their day. Now let's get this podcast started already. This is the weird thing, because you and I, Glenn, we've both been involved in either internet radio or podcasting, and since this is a whole new audience, we really have to do them a service and set them up. But I mean, the way that this podcast rolls versus how you or I are used to looking at podcasting going back 10 plus years, it's so different. But I'm so excited because I actually look forward more than as far as interviewing or chatting. I don't even like calling it interviews, but chatting with friends than like pulling that big celebrity, or if I'm talking about the new wrestling podcast, like talking to a wrestler, which I will do. But this excites me more because this is real. Like, we've met, we've talked, we've known each other for at least 10 years now. And it's just like, dude, like, this is what it's all about right here.
Exactly. No, I agree. It's funny that you say that, because there's, not to do any plugging right away, but
no, you're fine.
It just reminds me of what I'm trying to do with my music podcast, which is basically just sitting down with a friend. It was each week. Lately, we've been kind of in hiatus because of everything going on with me and just trying to get a schedule going again. But
sure,
it was just us sitting there picking 5 songs and telling stories about why we love those songs, and like if we have any stories attached to those songs. So it's a good idea because you get a real reaction into your friends. It's like a general conversation. I don't like interviews that are like very formal. I like laid back conversations. Like, I'm like you, I don't like the word interview. It's just, it sounds so formal and so old school.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It drives me nuts now. Like, okay, so here's how I'll set this up a little bit, because I was going through again, and you've been around long enough, so you know that I've been just talking all this smack for years, but like, I've been going back through all my old shows, and yes, I finally did it, but I was trying to get all the old stuff uploaded to the new place I'm putting them, just because back in 2010 on my quote-unquote, I'm using air quotes here, final show, which proved to be a damn joke, but air quotes, final show, I promised that I was going to have a website with every episode of radio I ever did for that show, and I finally did that. So, but I was listening to all these old shows, and your name was coming up so much in this show, and it got me thinking about you, and I'm like, man, we gotta catch up, but dude, we go back. Was it 2000? It had to be 2007, or maybe it was 2008, because you were trying to quote unquote, and I'm just going to use this term loosely, court me for a radio station that you had an involvement in. And listening to this stuff now is super funny. But you were trying to get me into some station that you were on. That we came to that place in 2009, and I remember talking to you as far back as 2008, but maybe 7 was in there. I don't remember. What do you remember?
I can agree to that. I just remember listening to The Shoot and being a fan of you guys, you and Alan.
Yeah.
And we were trying to bring in just people that we enjoyed listening to and we would enjoy working with. And I told Mike, the person who kind of ran the thing or whatever.
Yeah.
What I wanted to do, he agreed or whatnot. And, I reached out to you guys, and I think it had to have been 2008. That's what it feels like. 2008 sounds like the right date.
Yeah, the launch
or year.
we did 4 weeks in January of 2009 with you guys, and then it kind of I have to laugh. It kind of quote unquote fell apart, and
it definitely did. But the reason why too, because I can say this, for sure.
Sure.
Moving forward in life, I'm still friends with Mike, and we talk about it all the time. And he always says, like, I handled that. So I know he was so young.
Yeah.
I think he had to have been at least 19, 20. So, like, he was a young kid trying to do all this stuff. So he was still, growing into his adult life and things like that. But, yeah, that was, I remember that last episode or whatnot you guys were on. That was, it was a mess. And it wasn't your fault. It was definitely on our side. And, it's just what happens when you have immature people running the show.
Well, I'll tell you this. 2010 Gary might say, hey, tell Mike that Gary says F you. But 2018 Gary says, Glenn, why don't you go ahead and tell your buddy Mike, I hope he's doing well and I wish him all the best.
For sure. I will let him know that.
Okay.
I will definitely let him know that.
So you were listening to the shoot back in 2008 at some point, and I know we were doing some interviews at that point, so I'm just gonna kind of freestyle a guess that perhaps maybe you had either read about it on a website or you were just scanning through Blog Talk, one of each. Am I close?
Yes, I was such a big fan of Blog Talk at the time because I was able to get on there and do what I love, just talking about stuff that I love and play music while I was at it. So I was looking for a really good wrestling show to listen to, and I just happened to come across you guys.
God, you poor bastard, because, man, the amount of times we strayed off wrestling and into, like, fake angles on the radio.
Oh, no, and that's not a problem. That's what made you guys entertaining. Like, I tend to go towards, like, the unconventional style of listening to a podcast where it just sounds like two friends having a conversation and not, like, radio BS. To me, that's what I like to listen to.
But God, Glenn, I wanted so bad to be Howard Stern like 10 years ago. And I guess the thing is, who doesn't want to be like on internet radio? Because I think like everybody in that time, and even a few years later, just people wanted to be that kind of edgy, hey, it's internet radio, we can say whatever we want, let's start fights. I mean, I was sending my old co-host John Krauser on to old or other wrestling shows and asking them if they had heard of me and baiting them into talking crap, because I tell John, hey, ask them if they've ever heard of this show, and if they say yes or say no, say, oh good, because those guys suck. And then like it would start them like piling on, and then I would have the audio queued up for next Thursday, and I'd start ripping it into him. And poor Alan, the thing most people don't know is I never clued him in on anything, which probably made it even worse.
Oh man.
So I'm just like, I wanted to get his natural raw reaction, so I didn't tell him like anything ahead of time. And I'm like, Alan, these guys were talking smack, and I'm lightly watching my language. I mean, you can say whatever you want, but I was kind of like, man, these guys are talking smack, and dude, I can't believe it. He's like, yeah, yeah. It's like this poor guy, man. He's just he's not even clued into all this stuff. And, like that thing with the honky tonk man, he had no idea about any of this. I just let it roll out naturally on the radio.
I remember that honky tonk thing. That's probably one of the, I don't think I laughed as hard as I did there at that point in my life. Like that was just, I couldn't believe what I was listening to.
He had no idea.
Didn't you get played on Bubba the Love Sponge like a couple times too? Yeah.
The next morning they were on Howard 101, which is at that time the second most listened to radio station on all of Sirius. Howard 101, and they had asked me for the audio. And God, Glenn, the quality we have today, I wish we had that back then, because they were playing this and it's just like telephone quality. It sounded like a couple guys on the phone, and it was horrible. But Bubba, like, he went 30, 45 minutes on it. It's like, man, if you're not checking out my boy, the Gary with the shoot, man, check it out. And I'm like, oh my God. And like, it blew up, and we had this bad audio quality. And I was like, this is the worst, because I mean, it was the best because it gained a lot of attention, but at the same time, it was like, man, this quality sucks.
Yeah, that's one of the things I remember of Blog Talk. It was I couldn't even. I can't even go back and listen to the stuff that I did on there, like the Daily Fix.
So that's where is that where the Fix got started? That was your first thing into internet radio back then?
Actually, no. So it goes all the way back to, let's see, 2007 when I lived in Orlando for a little bit.
Okay.
I wanted to get away from home. I don't like being in Jersey. I always had big goals for myself just to be out of there.
Yeah.
And I went down and I just wanted to do like a radio show or podcast. And it was when podcasts started really kind of forming, I guess. And I listened to like this Battlestar Galactica podcast called Galactica Actual or something. I was like, I want to do something like that, but just with music and movies and pop culture.
Yeah.
So me and my friend got together, who I was living with. We got these 2 computer mics. We put socks over them, thinking that that would like help the sound quality.
Yeah.
And we would just record and throw songs in there when we would edit, and then throw them up on a website. I think it was like a Freewebs website.
Freewebs, yes.
Yeah, man. And then we had like a little network too. We brought on like 2 other shows, and we were pretty big. So there's this big music festival called Bamboozle, or was, not anymore.
Yes.
And we went to the year prior, 2006, which was one of the best things I've ever done. So we pulled in a lot of fans through there because we started a Bamboozle message board that actually got picked up by them. They're like, you guys are doing so great with this that we're going to make this our official form, which blew my mind.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man. So we always promoted the Fix on there. And then I ended up leaving Florida. And then, I don't know, about a few months later, I came into Blog Talk Radio. And that's where I did the Daily Fix from 1 a.m. to like 4 a.m. every night. Monday through Friday. Yeah, it was nuts.
You ever get any random like prank callers? I got my slew of those back in the day.
Oh yeah, there was a whole bunch. That's how I met Mike and from Burnout Media. That's how him and that Trey Blaylock guy would used to call in and just poke fun at us all the time until they like kept thinking like, oh, they're cool, like they're taking it in stride, they don't care.
Yeah.
And then we just started talking and found out that Trey was an indie wrestler, and we kind of interviewed him, made it on the front page of Blog Talk, and the rest is history.
Dude, I had never had a problem with a prank call. A lot of hosts that I guess just aren't smartened up to it, like they would get so flustered, but I welcomed it because my show was a wild craziness anyway, but like I just didn't like the soundboards. So I'm like, that's just low effort. Like, dude, if you're going to prank call me, like lure me in. Like I want you to have like a great voice. I want you to lure me in like I don't know it's a prank, and then boom, hit the swerve on me.
Yeah, that's
you know
the kind of stuff. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I like. I remember this one guy who called in, and he literally was just talking in circles to try to confuse us.
Yeah.
And then he sounded like he was drunk, but all of a sudden he got like really straight, and then like switched the voice up on us, and like we just couldn't believe it. I wish I still had that audio because that was really funny.
I got to find the audio, but there was a guy on like the 2nd or 3rd episode of my show back when it was on Fridays at midnight who called and claimed to be Bruno Sammartino's son.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was, and like this was a prank call where he actually had me like convinced, like halfway convinced, and then he's like, all right, man, well, I got to go. And like, there was no like gotcha. It was just like, all right, man, well, I got to go. I'm like, okay, bye. I mean, it very well could have been his younger son. I doubt it. I mean, I strongly doubt it, but who knows? You never know with these places.
Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah, you never know who you're talking to. That's a truth.
Definitely. And now you mentioned a little while ago that you went to Bamboozle, but did you ever go to Skate and Surf, dude?
That is one show that has eluded me for like the longest time. And being a big fan of like the Bouncing Souls and that kind of music, like that's where they perform the most in Asbury Park. Like,
yes,
I always wanted to go there. Like that was one of my big things. The only other show that I went to in Asbury Park, like a festival, was the Saints and Sinners Fest, which was an offshoot of Bamboozle, which just featured hardcore metal, death metal. It was nuts. And it was 2 days of just pure blast beats in my ear, and it was fantastic.
Well, they're all tied in together because I know that when the Skate and Surf was there 02, 03, 04. I went to 03 and 04, and I know that one of the guys who was producing it, Max Cruz or whatever, he had a falling out with some of the other promoters that were putting it on. So then he was like, well, F you, I'm going to go and do Bamboozle or whatever. So then Max Cruz jumps on Bamboozle, and it becomes this whole thing. But I got to tell you, Skate and Surf, I feel like that could be a whole other podcast, and maybe I'll do like one podcast where I talk about the whole weekend because I remember it so vividly. But that was just like, in terms of music and concerts and festivals, the 2003 in particular was a weekend that I will never forget for the rest of my life. Like, do you remember Armor for Sleep?
Oh, I love them.
Okay, perfect. So picture Armor for Sleep. They were playing on what's called the arcade stage, which was in the outside, not the outside, but so you had the main convention hall, and then you had the Paramount Theater, and then in the middle there was this big hall. I guess you would call it what is it? Concourse. That's the word I'm looking for. Concourse. And towards the end there's that big window and stuff. But they had a stage back there, and bands like Reunion Show and Count the Stars and all these bands played. But Armor for Sleep was on Friday, and they were just as they were starting to play, the sun was going down, and they were playing what was that? It was like track 2 on the first album. I don't remember it at the time. I want to say it was All Warm, but where it's like okay, I'm not doing it justice. But the point is, they were playing that, and the sun was kind of fading in the backdrop, and I was like, this is like the perfect soundtrack, unintentionally, with the sun coming down, and like I will never forget that image for the rest of my life. And for Armor for Sleep, every time I hear that song or anything Armor for Sleep, especially the first record, I always think of that moment and watching them in now it sounds like we're doing your podcast, the song podcast.
You literally just did a whole couple minutes on it. Like,
there you go. Cut it up and save it and put it out that you can make that a mini episode or something.
There you go. No, it's funny that you say that too, because like every moment has a soundtrack. That's something I've been saying for years.
Yes.
And it's the truth. Every moment has a soundtrack, and that's the perfect story. That would fit so well on that show. It's awesome.
Well, you can. I'll send you the audio. You can cut it up and slice it in somewhere if you want.
Well, for sure, you can do that, or you just come on. We'll just do that.
We'll do that too. I'll retell it, and I'll add in some funky stuff, and we'll be good to go.
For sure, man. But that actually reminds me of Bamboozle, because I'll never forget those 2 days, because at that time I was into like Bayside and Say Anything and Saves the Day and Sayasin and the band Him and Taking Back Sunday, AFI, all those guys. And that's the stuff I grew up in high school. That was my soundtrack to my high school years. I still listen to all of it.
Oh, of
I have
course.
no shame in my game. Yeah, and just those 2 days were just incredible. I got to see bands that I never thought I would ever get to see. I got to see Method Man, which was nuts. Method Man was there, and that was probably one of my favorite parts of it. And I had a chance to meet him because I was part of the street team, and there was a whole mess of issues that went into that. And then I left on the second day when we were supposed to meet them, and because it looked like it wasn't going to happen.
Right.
And then I look up on our street team message board, and they finally were able to go in hours later, and I was so mad, but it is what it is. It's just, at that time I was really upset.
Yeah, they were one of my favorite bands. I still have their heartogram on my left forearm.
Oh, hell yeah.
Now, when you went there, just one more thing on the Bamboozle. When you went there, was that when it was still in Asbury, or had they already moved to, what was it, East Rutherford or whatever?
Yeah, they moved to East Rutherford, to the right outside Giants Stadium.
Okay.
The parking lot. Yeah, so I think there was a lot of stages, if I remember correctly, and just a lot of stuff to do and a lot of merch.
Yeah.
Just all over the place.
Yeah. You could go bankrupt in that place. Because I remember 05 was in Asbury. I was going to go and I didn't. And that was where Further Seems Forever brought back Chris Carrabba, and they did Moon Is Down from front to freaking back. And they actually, I still have this DVD somewhere, but they went on their website and uploaded the entire video. It's probably on YouTube. I don't know why I'm bothering for a DVD. Somebody probably uploaded it to YouTube, but the band themselves released it as a bootleg of the whole set of Chris up there doing Moon Is Down.
That's amazing. I love to see that. for sure.
I'm sure it's on YouTube. If you just put in Further Seems Forever Bamboozle, it's got to be up there. I would be 99% confident some random guy downloaded that and uploaded it.
Oh hell yeah, I'll definitely check it out for sure.
Now, so I remember. Okay, so the shoot or whatever, and when I was going to make this whole shoot thing, but the shoot had the falling out with your radio station, and we remained, we remained in contact over the years from the rest of the show's existence up until 2010, and then I went on a hiatus for a few years. It was either the fall of 12 or the fall of 13. You were here in DC, and we finally got to meet.
Yeah. I was on this music festival tour. I wish I was an artist on the tour, but I was just a videographer.
Right.
And it was a good time. Yeah, we hung out. We went to the Sky Dome restaurant, which is funny because of our wrestling fandom.
Of course.
The Sky Dome, which was an awesome place too, because it's just like get to see the whole city. In that like little room, and it's just sweet. But yeah, I was on a tour. It's called High School Nation. It was really cool. We got to tour like the high schools and put on a festival for them, and we gave them money for their music program. And there was like installations from like Gibson and like Pioneer DJ and New York Film School was there.
Right.
So there was just so much to do and like some cool acts up on stage. And I just ran around with the camera and filmed everything. Went on the Gibson tour bus because I have to mention the tour bus because it was awesome.
Of course.
Got the ride in that. That was my ride throughout the whole tour, the first tour at least. And it was really good hanging out with you because I think that was the first time we met.
Yeah,
ever.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely kept in touch. I remember that, whether it was just random like Twitter or we've been Facebook friends for forever, but
yeah,
we kept in touch because I remember at the time when we met in 08 or whatever it was. I mean, I think you were still in Jersey at that point, but you were kind of laying the groundwork, man. Like you were hell bent on making it to LA. And when did you finally make it out there?
I made it out there. It was at the end of November 2012.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So talk about that a little bit because that's a big step. Now, if I have this right, if my memory serves me correct, I mean, you've always wanted to make films. I know that. You've written various scripts and you mentioned you're a videographer. And so the dream was to get to LA. Talk about where that dream originates and how do you actually make it happen? Because a lot of people say, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. You went and did it. And talk about that. That's huge.
So, 6 years old, I saw Halloween for the first time. I've always had this obsession with horror films, and that's where it kind of began. I went into my mom and dad's like video cabinet and took the tape, went into our playroom because we had this like small TV with a VCR, so we could watch like Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. And I went in there like one night, just snuck in there, closed the door, put the tape in, watched it, had nightmares for weeks. But like ever since I was like, I want to make movies like that. I want to make scary movies. And ever since then, I knew that's what I wanted to do. There was nothing else.
Right.
I had the little dream of wanting to be a musician or make video games, but the film thing always there. I wanted to tell stories in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
So going through the years of just knowing where I needed to go, finding out LA is a thing, and that's where they shoot the movies, Hollywood, whatever. Finding out I wanted to go to film school at Full Sail.
Yep.
And all that good stuff. And then just pushing and pushing, not going out with my friends while I was in high school, instead of just writing stuff, coming up with stories and scripts and stuff in my room. Finally getting the chance to do it, which I kind of just fell into. I was just sick of being on this side of the country. I just knew I had to make the move. And if I didn't do it soon enough, I'd get stuck. And
right.
I finally made the jump in 2012 with, I was so happy. I made the mistake of going there with the person who I was meeting there and having a roommate situation with. That was a mistake. Okay. A big mistake. I almost paid with my life, but
what can you say about it? I mean, when you say mistake, what do you feel comfortable sharing? Like, why was it a mistake?
Okay. No, I got to to the point in my life where I could tell this story and I'll be fine. I did it in an open mic too, which was pretty interesting. So basically, this guy reached out to me once who saw my short film, Don't Give Up, said he loved it, it made him cry or whatever. And we just started talking, and he said he's from LA, he's a writer and wants to collaborate. I was like, all right, man, cool. At that point, you know, this was only like 5 years ago. So at that point I was still kind of like, all right, I want to collaborate with everyone because I want to get experience. So we would talk almost all the time. We co-wrote, he helped me rewrite a script that I wrote in like junior year of high school called The Nowhere Guys. And he just kept saying, you need to come out to LA, man. This is where it's happening. Like, let's do it. And, you know, he's like, you got a place to stay here and all that good stuff. And, you know, we were thinking about moving to Santa Monica, and me not knowing how much everything is out there. I was like, yeah, let's do it. I'll get a job and it'll be great. I just had this mindset that I was going to get there no matter what. And I ended up, when I flew out there, he met up with me at the airport, and we ended up going to the place he was staying, which was like this house that had like a separation where, so the front house is where this family lived.
Right.
And then they rented out like the back rooms.
Yep.
And we stayed in this one little bedroom where I slept on the floor. I had like a sheet. Yep. And my pillow was my hoodie that I was wearing, my Devil's hoodie. And I remember like, oh my God, what am I doing here? Like, I got freaked out, and he got really upset with me because I started freaking out.
Right.
He wasn't trying to calm me down or anything. He was just like really upset, and he was calling me a fake and all this stuff. So we ended up like falling asleep and then waking up the next day, and he's just yelling on the phone about me, like completely just going nuts about like this kid, you know, came out here. He mistaked my kindness, you know, for something else. And, he's just, I don't know what I'm going to do. And, just all these red flags start popping up. And I went on my phone to try to like, cause I had a couple friends out there that I didn't think I'd be able to move in with. So that's why I jumped on this opportunity, which was dumb. Sure. My friend Kevin Interdonato, who you might know from Dirty Dead Conman.
Yes.
One of my favorite people in the world. He was like, man, I can come over and help you out, but I'm really busy right now. I can't leave this thing. He's like, just calm down. Once everything blows over, I'll come grab you. And I had another friend named Laura, who's a model out there, who wanted to help too, but she didn't want to get close because she kind of knew who this person was,
right,
and didn't like him or whatnot. So I'm talking on the phone, like I'm texting, and this guy sees me, and he grabs my face and he looks me dead in the eye, and he's like, you better put that effing phone down.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, I'll hurt you if you don't. So I was like freaked out. And like, I swear to God to you, Gary, I looked into his eyes and I didn't see like like a human at that point. I just saw a monster. So he backed off, and like I calmed down a little bit. I was like, all right, I need to get out of here now because I don't know if I'm going to make it out of here alive.
Of course,
so
yeah.
What I did was I was like, hey man, I'm sorry. This is a culture shock. I come from a small town in Jersey. I don't know any better. I'm sorry. Let's make this work. You know, and he like shut off the anger like it was nothing.
Wow.
Like it was just like a robot turning a switch off.
It's like multiple personalities, sounds like.
Yeah. Some people say drugs, but I think it's multiple personality issues there. So he ends up putting on a movie, and I remember it was that movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis. Oh
yeah, I know.
Looper.
Looper. Yeah.
So he puts it on this like computer monitor from his computer. It's like a small monitor. So we're watching this movie on Windows Media Player. I just remember that specifically.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there on my phone. I'm like looking up like ways to get out of here. Like I'm texting everyone I know. I'm telling people at home what's going on. And at this point, I didn't want to stay around. I just wanted to go home. Like at this point, I was just upset. And he's like, what are you doing on the phone, man? Who are you texting? I was like, oh, I'm just looking up wrestling results. You know, that damn John Cena wins again. And he's like, he's like, that's corny, but whatever. Go ahead, whatever. And I'm like, okay. So I come up with a plan. My friend Laura, was going to come get me. And excuse me. And he was going to go out to use the internet because he didn't have internet access or whatnot.
Right.
So he was going to a Starbucks that was like down the road or something. So he's like, you want to come? I'm like, I'm so tired. I'm exhausted from everything. I think I'm going to take a quick shower and just lay down, go to sleep. And so he's like, all right, man, I'll bring you back some food or whatever. So he leaves. And at this point, like, I wait about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes just to make sure he's not like coming back and forgot something or whatever.
Right.
Because I knew he had to take the bus. Yeah, I remember him mentioning the bus. And I tell Laura, like, hey, come out front. I have my stuff ready. I'm like, I'm ready. She's like, I'm not going to come out front. I'm going to park around the corner. You come. I'm like, okay.
Now, how much stuff do you have on you at this point?
I have a backpack for my Mac, my laptop, my camera, and a big suitcase.
Okay.
I didn't bring much with me. I kind of wanted to start over and things like that. I had some money on me. I was going to be all right there.
Sure.
But I had a good amount of stuff, but not like crazy amount. So I called the police because that's the first thing in my mind. I called the police after I talked to Laura. I'm like, maybe they can like come and like escort me out or something, and just in case he shows up. And they couldn't do it. They couldn't do anything about it. Like, I explained the whole situation. They're like, listen, you know, you can write or you could do a report, but we can't really do much. I'm like, thank you, LAPD. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
So I tried to call again and see if I could speak to someone else, but it didn't work out. But Laura texts me and goes, I'm out front. Just come now. Just come now. So I grabbed my stuff, and he's got a private entrance to his room. So I ran out the door. I tripped down the stairs, like legitimately, like out of a movie. So I tripped down the stairs.
You were legit running.
Yeah, I was running, and it wasn't that big of a distance to the car from the house. And I remember the person who lived up front, the woman was like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm the guy's friend. I left my suitcase here, and I was just picking it up." And she goes, "Oh, okay. You want me to tell him you left?" I'm like, No. Just he knows what's going on. She's like, okay. So I hop in Laura's car, and we get the hell out of there.
Holy shit.
And at this point, I'm sweating. I'm a mess. I probably smell bad, and I'm with this model looking girl, and she's taking me to all these places to get my mind off of it. I got my first In-N-Out burger experience with her. I went to Amoeba Records, which is like my favorite place in LA, to buy music and buy movies. And I just remember waiting for Kevin, our boy Kevin, to get off, and I ended up staying with him. And he's like, "Hey, dude, you can stay here as long as you want. I'm going to help you out here." What happened? I tell him the whole story, and he's this, brute Italian guy. So of course he's mad.
Yeah,
and
he
wants
rugged.
to do something about it.
He's
very rugged.
Yeah,
he's a good dude, but you don't want to get on his bad side for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's how I got to LA, man. It was a crazy first 24 hours.
Welcome to LA.
Exactly.
Good Lord, man. I mean, I was just thinking, like, before I even knew any of that of what you told me, like, I'm just thinking, like, just the mental fear and anxiety of just leaving what's comfortable. Like, I remember when I've moved out of my house the first time, for example, much smaller instance. I mean, I've moved literally a mile down the street, but point is, that kind of mental anxiety and worry and fear of leaving what's familiar, leaving what's comfortable, and you're traveling all the way across country now. I'm sure all that's in play. It's all on the table, but then you have all this that's introduced as well, and that's just got to be, I can't even imagine your brain for that probably first week, month, whatever. You had to be, wow.
Yeah, it was strange because I remember it was November 30th. I got there. The next day after everything happened, I moved in with Kevin that night. He lived right off of Hollywood Boulevard.
Oh, wow.
So it was like December 1st. And I remember at that point, he's giving me a place to stay. I got a choice. I want to go home for Christmas because I need to go home now. I wasn't going to. I just moved there. It is like Christmas is like in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I remember getting the plane ticket a one-way. I wasn't going to come back. I really wasn't going to come back.
Right.
I was talked into by a lot of people. You got to go back. You made it there. Don't let this bother you. So I went back in January after New Year's. And that first few months, I was looking over my shoulder because I remember when I got to Kevin's, I checked all my voicemails and stuff. And he called about, 7 or 8 times. And each voicemail got progressively, it started very angry and progressively got sad to a point where he was begging me to come back.
Yeah.
But after a few months, I got like past that and just realized I'm exactly where I want to be.
Yeah.
And all that and all that anger and all that, like, fear and everything and all that worry and nervousness went away. And I got to do a lot of fun stuff while I was in LA. It was moments that made me proud that I stuck it through. I didn't give up. I followed my own rule of never giving up. And I'm the most proud of that, for sure.
That's definitely huge. And now, obviously, a lot of people are listening. They're wondering, did you ever run into the guy or have any near misses running into this guy again?
So I got two instances for you. So the first time I was walking to work, which was on Sunset Boulevard, which is another big famous street in LA.
Yep.
I worked for like this telefundraiser company. It was it was a job. It was all right.
Yep.
Got to fund the dream. So I'm walking and I see this guy in front of me, like, about 20 feet in front of me, and it looks just like him. And he looks like he's just aimlessly walking around. So I have my headphones in, I have sunglasses on and a beanie, because the beanie is my thing. I always wear it. So I look different. So I'm just staying behind. I'm kind of like staying behind people. And he turns around and it's not him. And I just, for a moment, I really thought it was.
Right.
And the other time is when he actually, years later, it was like about a year ago, he messaged me under another name. He's like, hey, you might not know who this name is, but I'm really this person. I changed my name, and I wanted to let you know that I'm so sorry for whatever happened. I wasn't in a good mind spot. He gave me all a list of, things of what happened. And
right.
He's like, I understand if you don't want to talk after this, but I just needed to tell you that I'm sorry. And I didn't want you to go without knowing that. And I was like, you're right. I don't want to talk to you, but I really appreciate your apology. I hope you're well. I hope things are getting better for you, and take care, basically. And he's like, I thank you for that, and I won't bother you again. And that was the first time I heard from him, and the last time I heard from him.
Wow.
And it was it felt good, but it also made me feel sad for him. And I'm a nice guy. I don't hold grudges. And I've had many reasons to do so, but I don't.
Sure.
And I just don't think that's the right way to live. No. And I could have like held that grudge, and if I would have saw him in the street, I could have been a different person, headbutted him, or do whatever I wanted to, for some revenge, some Kill Bill stuff. But no, I didn't. I forgave him, and I feel better about it. And it's good that he was able to do that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I hear you on that, dude. I've spent the last couple of years like trying to just learn how to get over stuff. Like, perfect example, listening back to all these old shows, and I'm just ripping out F-bombs, saying F this guy, F that guy. And, truth be told, like, I don't really hold grudges against these people. Definitely not anymore. It was just, years ago, and this is obviously a much different situation, but I'm speaking on the greater thing of learning to let stuff go and move along, because ultimately I think if you hold grudges for too long, it's just not healthy. It's toxic behavior. It's just a bad thing to do.
Oh no, it's the truth. It's and we both have reasons probably to hold grudges against people, and sure. I think everyone does in their lives, but you got to think of it the big picture in your life. Like, if you hold this much anger in yourself, like, there has to be a way to release it. You got to find something to release it, because if you keep doing this, it's unhealthy. It's going to slowly kill you. And that's what I chose to do, because my mother, I love her to death, but she holds grudges like it's nothing. It's like she's a professional grudge holder.
Right.
And I don't want to live like that. I promised myself that I wouldn't be like my mom or my dad.
Yeah.
And I choose to live a different way, and I don't let the little stuff bother me anymore. Like, there's days at work where I'm talking to someone on the phone and they're jerks, and I get it. I let it get to me, and I'm like, oh, this person. But like, I think about what I want in life and all that good stuff, and it just goes away. Like, I just think of the good stuff that I want or have.
Right.
Career goals or film stuff, creative stuff, and it gets me past that mentality of grudges and being spiteful and all that good stuff. So.
No, I agree. You gotta move along, because more times than not, the people that you're holding the grudges against are people that have no real effect on your daily life with the exception of you keeping them in your mind.
Exactly.
You know, it's not like these people are in your face every day, peppering you, pointing at you and saying whatever at you. Like they're gone. I don't mean like dead gone, but like they're out of the frame. Let's use that movie reference. They're out of the frame, and
there you go.
They're not visible. They're not in your way. So who the hell cares? I mean, you just got to keep on moving along and doing what you got to do.
Exactly. And then that's how I've been living, man. Like the last year has been really tough.
Yeah.
Mentally and everything, and I'm choosing to use that motivation to get past it.
I don't know how much of it you want to get into, but for the people listening at home, I mean, you are back on the East Coast, correct?
For now, yes. Yeah, I'm in Philadelphia.
All right. Whatever you feel like comfortable sharing, like, talk about, you know, whatever you can or whatever about, you know, coming back and what, you know, what that's all about.
So to start from the beginning, I wanted to make this movie called Exit Zero a couple years ago, and we had everything put together. You know, it was going to be a really shoestring budget and stuff like that, and had a cast, we had locations, everything was good. I was like, we're finally going to make this, right?
Yeah.
And I get there, and we get through a day and a half through shooting, and things just fall apart so fast. And I take a lot of the responsibility. A lot of it was my fault, and there was little parts that were just out of our hands. But the kind of person I am, I take full responsibility for not planning better.
Sure.
But I let it get to me so much that it killed me creatively. It put me in a depression. I gained a lot more weight. I could just go down the list.
Right.
It put a strain on my 4.5 year relationship. Mm-hmm. To the point where in January, things happened. I'm not with that person anymore. And it was such short notice. I was already coming out here for the Rumble.
Right.
Which was a fantastic time and a much needed time, to be honest, because of everything that happened up to that point. Right. So I let a lot of things affect my life in a way where it took me away from the place that I always wanted to be, and I love, and I know I will be back, to bring me back to the other side of the country where I don't want to be. And I don't like saying that because it sounds so negative, but I appreciate where I grew up. I appreciate the city that I am, appreciate all the opportunities I have here, and the people that I'm, you know, are helping me out and whatnot. But they know specifically too. They want me to go back to where I want to be. But a lot of things just didn't work out there at the end, and much needed time away from a place that I love to kind of regain, you know, my mentality, to be more positive about life, to really look deep inside myself, to find myself again. I'm not addicted to drugs or alcohol or anything like that, but I have, I don't know, a mental block in my head, and I couldn't get past this thing that happened with the movie, and it really killed a lot of things. And I hate that. That's
kind of where I'm going next. So it's like you left not because, you know, money dried up, you lost jobs and you had to leave. You left because it was a mental thing. In other words, is that accurate? Like you made the choice mentally, I can't be here, I need to leave.
Yeah, it was a little bit of that. I mean, there was some money issues because my freelance stuff was drying up.
Right.
But the situation that I was in, there was a little bit more to it that I won't get into here.
Sure, no, that's fine. I understand.
But a lot of the contributing factors to what happened was because of the mental. I needed a break from where I was, and I needed to find myself again. And I guess the best way to find myself again is to come back to a place where I grew up, where it all started. And as much as I don't want that, it's actually been the best thing for me.
It's like Rocky V, man. You go back home.
Yep, exactly. It's exactly how it feels.
Yeah.
I was just talking about that the other night.
Oh, well, there you go. And it wasn't to me, so that's completely unplanned, but I just happen to be a Rocky nut. So, it's interesting here. It's because, like, my cousin-in-law, I just call her my cousin Jade. I think you guys have talked before, but you know, she made the journey out there, and she's gone through her own, you know, stuff and journey. And I still, even now, like, I know you're going to get back there, but the fact that you made that trek out there and everything you've been through, and you out there, you stuck it out, man. I mean, I cannot tell you how proud I am of you. I mean, because in my own mind, you know, I've got a lot of things that I want to do. I have a lot of plans for life, and you know, there's still a lot of me that's just scared like hell to make any drastic big moves, because I'm kind of in a level of being comfortable to a certain degree. And not that that's a bad thing, but it's just like, you know, like you just went out there and just said, boom, I'm doing it. And like, I respect the hell out of you for that, man.
I appreciate that more than you know, man. I did. And I might have done the way to get out there, but it worked out. Like, I didn't die. I didn't come back. I didn't give up. But it's about taking those risks sometimes, man. It's, right. I knew when the time was right, I was going to do it. And I knew deep down that I was going to make it happen. And, you know, I'm proud of the work that I did out there. There was a lot that I've done, a lot of things that I got to do. I got to see the country 4 times. Like, I got to travel and be in cities that I never thought I would be in. And I'm not just saying like in airports or just, you know, one spot. I got to explore a lot of awesome places, and I got to go to Hawaii. I got to, you know, go on be on a music. I could say that I was on a music tour, and I got to hang out on the tour bus every day. And I got to meet, you know, these amazing people. I got to be part of amazing productions, and I had a movie premiere on a big screen there. It was a short film that I edited, and I got to do Dirty Dead Con Men, which now just got turned into a full length. Like, it was a pilot, now it's an actual feature film that just came out on iTunes and Amazon. It's going to be in stores. They're going to get physical copies put in stores and all that good stuff. And
that's amazing.
My name's on that twice, and I'm just to the point where like I could be so sad about not being there, but like knowing that the journey's not over.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm, as you said to me, I'm proud of you for the journey you've taken, and I'm using that as motivation for me to do the same thing. And you'll get to where you want to be, and I know you will because of the work you've already put in. I'm a big fan of your shirts, by the way. I need to pick up one. I'll probably do one after the show here.
Thank you.
But you're welcome, man. You're welcome, and it's much deserved, my friend. Like I remember seeing you at Mania, and you were on your way, and now you're just like, wow, dude, it's awesome. It's really cool.
I appreciate that, man. You know, that's the thing too. It's like I got on this thing, and this is one of the things that's kind of opening my eyes, because it's like me in 2015, 2016 never would have thought he could have done this. I mean, I was a very defeated person. I was just kind of, you know, just like, okay, whatever, man. It's gonna be what it's gonna be, and well, this 4X doesn't fit, but I can go buy a 5X. It's all good. Like, you know, I had this very kind of lackadaisical, defeatist kind of attitude where I was just like, I've really given up. Like, and I've put that online on Instagram. It's just like, that's where this journey has made me be the most honest that I've ever been, the most reflective and honest. And I'll put up a picture, an old picture, and say, this is what failure looks like. This is what being defeated and giving up looks like. But then you put another photo next to it and says, this is what happens when you don't give up. And for me, it's just like, I think about that, and it makes me emotional, because I'm just like, I did that, and I'm still doing it. I don't want to make it sound like it's over. It's far from over. Like I changed my mindset. I've changed a lot of things, and I still have a lot of work to do, but holy crap, I did it. And then you mentioned the shirts, and that's like a whole other deal, man, because, you know, I trademarked that. Like, when you search it, my name comes up. I own that. And it's just like, I want to make that a full-on apparel company, like a fashion line, clothing line, whatever you want to call it. Like, that's become kind of a dream, because people, they they see it and then they buy it and they're like, this stuff inspires me the way it did for me. It's like, you think about these different movies like a Rocky or whatever, where they have like their own little handmade shirts, where it's like Win Rocky Win or whatever. Like, the hard work always wins was so much like just something that I made for myself to motivate me. And it became this whole other thing. It just turned into this whole new thing. And, you know, it became a dream of mine to not only tour the country and meet people and help to continue to inspire and maybe encourage and motivate and all that, but then also it's like, hey, I can also sell shirts and, you know, stuff that may help motivate people. And that blows me away, man.
It's really cool that you did that, because I kind of adopted that mindset of just like having like a personal saying or mantra.
Yes.
There's a song by the band or the group. They're like an 80s style, like synthwave pop duo called The Midnight, and I love them. I discovered them one night while searching on Bandcamp for new music, which I do every night. And they came out with a song called Los Angeles, and it blew me away because it embodies the heart, the soul, the mindset of being in that city. And they put out a new album called Endless Summer. I think it was their first full length, and there was a song on there called The Comeback Kid.
Right.
And I always loved that saying, the comeback kid, the comeback kid. And I want to represent, got a shirt made just for me, and it says hashtag the comeback kid. And it's got the chorus on the back. I'm going to pull up the lyrics now so I can read them out loud, because I feel like this would benefit people.
Yes.
Let me see. Let me pull it up, because it's on the back of the shirt. I don't feel like taking the shirt off and doing it that way. But yeah, this song means a lot to me because it embodies the last year of my life.
Right.
So it says, I've made mistakes and I've been hard hit. I say, so what? So what if I did? I'm the clear-eyed. I'm the comeback kid. And that just like, I hear that song. I listen to it all the time. Listen to it every day to get me ready for the day. And it just embodies what I want to do. I know I made mistakes. I know I wasn't such a good person at some times. I was at my lowest when I came back in January, but I know I can come back from this and be a better Glenn, a better person, and be able to continue on the journey that I set out, since the age of 6.
Yeah.
And I made the shirt. I have it on right now. It means a lot to me. Some people might think it's silly, but there's a select few people that I sent the picture to, and they're like, I can't believe you did that. That's going to be really good for you. Like, just keep using that mindset. And I have been, and it's just been guiding me every day. Now, I don't know if I'd go far as, making a line or whatever. I might just put one shirt out for people to use. So, because I love motivating people just like you do.
Yes.
But, I feel like everyone should adopt something like that, something that will motivate them, whether it's a song, a phrase, a poem, a quote, anything, because it really does help. There's always, if you don't have many people in your life to motivate you, use something like that because it works.
Man, have you talked to the band? You got to tell them about this, man. That what they've done for you if you haven't already.
I reached out to them to actually include the song Los Angeles in my movie Exit Zero, and we talked a little bit, and I told them how much I enjoy them, but once I get further enough down the line, I'll probably reach out and write them a nice letter and be like, hey, your song really helped me through some dark times, and it's been my rallying call, my battle cry, if you will, to get back into a better mindset in life and continue on the path that I set out. So I definitely will do that.
Hell yeah, man. That's what's up. I mean, how long? I mean, obviously it's hard to put any kind of time or number on it, but like in a perfect world, how long would you see yourself back on this side of the country before you think you may feel comfortable wanting to look back to LA?
Well, I have this goal of like going back in like 2 months, like June.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's when my friend has a house there, has a room that's opening up, and a good friend, no one dangerous this time, I promise.
Yeah.
Another filmmaker that I like, and we're cool. We talk all the time. That's what I want to do, but it might take a little bit longer. I might want to save up a little bit more money before I make the jump again and be smart about it. But I have another opportunity to make my movie, and that's another thing holding me back for right now. Excuse me. And not because it's a bad thing, because it's a great thing, that I might want to wait a little bit until I finish and shoot the movie, and I can go back with a feature in my hand and try to sell it and all that good stuff. So there's a lot that goes into it, but I definitely see myself back in LA very soon. It's just where I want to be. It's expensive and all that fun stuff that everyone says, but when I'm there, I am the happiest, and I want to be the happiest person I can be.
No, I love that, man. I love that. Now, I would imagine going back, it's probably going to be a little bit easier this time around because I'm sure you've made a lot of new friends out there and new connections since the first time you went out there.
To be honest with you, that's the one mistake that I made when I was out there, that I didn't go out very much and meet new people. I mean, I know I talked to your cousin there for a bit.
Yep.
But we never actually got to meet up or whatnot, and that's my fault because I'm a very outgoing person, but I got really comfortable where I was and who I was with, and just what my lifestyle choices, that it really hindered me from doing like any really good networking.
Right.
But that changes once I get back. I'm going to go to any mixer I can. I'm going to meet everyone I can. Just taking a step of, actually going to this, living with this guy, because it's just a house full of creative people.
Yep.
Is going to be very good for me. And, engaging in these relationships and finding a good team to work with and moving forward. I just turned 31. I'm still young. I'm still able to do all these things that I want to do. And, I'm going to do it right this time, because it's all about doing it right and learning from past mistakes. Not to quote the little green fella, but Yoda said something in The Last Jedi that made so much sense to me. And it was like a very, very like a light bulb moment, that failure is the greatest teacher. And I used to think failure was a failure and it was bad and I shouldn't fail. And it should always be as close to perfect as it can be.
Right.
But it shouldn't be. Failure is the greatest thing that ever happened to anyone, because it teaches you a lot about yourself and the mistake you made and what you can do to change it. And, I know you're a big fan of the guy, but Gary Vee changed my life too.
I was getting ready to bring him up. How'd you know?
I remember we're on the same wavelength, my man. So it's cool. I remember you posting about it. I'm like, I'm so happy you discovered him, because the person who let me discover him was none other than Burnout Media Mike Yatsko. Shout out to Mike Yatsko. He's the one that, introduced me to him, and I love listening to that guy talk. I haven't read, I heard one of his books on audio tape, but I want to read his new one. And he's a motivational guy. And anytime I need a kick in the ass, I listen to him.
Dude, when I met him in February, it blew my mind. I was I had a wave of emotion and I was so nervous. And I went with my wife and a friend of mine, Nikki, who I met on Instagram. And, we're all Gary Vee fans, and they're making fun of me because I'm so nervous. It's almost like, when you're getting ready to meet that band you really like and you're kind of fangirling out, I guess that's the only way I know how to say that. But, and then I get up there and I planned for like a week what I was going to tell the man, because I know that it was a book signing. It's not like a formal meeting, so you got to say what you got to say and get the hell out of there. And I was just like, ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba, ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba, and he's like, I fucking love it. Slapped hands, pulled me in, and that was it, man. I was like, wow, it blew my mind.
That's awesome. Yeah, I want to meet him. When I left LA, I think like a couple weeks later, he was there for his like shoe launch or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted to be there for that so bad, because I really want to meet him. Just to shake his hand, like, hey man, I enjoy your stuff. I utilize what you say, and anytime I need a kick in the ass, I listen to you, man. And just a little brief, because I get those fangirl moments too. I think I'd fangirl over him. The only other person like I got really nervous when I met was literally Lana from WWE. Like I was just like, oh hey, how you doing? Not as bad as my friend who went in front of me, who was just like couldn't get anything out other than I love you. I think that was pretty funny. I was just like, hey, I wanted to say something different, but I was like, hey, thank you for coming out and doing it. And she was sick, so it made me feel a little bit better after. She was like, I'm so happy. My throat hurts, but I'm here. And I'm like, you're awesome, and I enjoy your work, and I hope to keep seeing you and all that good stuff. But I feel like that would probably freeze up with Gary sometimes, because it makes sense, because he's awesome. He's the man.
Yeah, and I think he gets that too, because you see people like on his vlogs getting nervous, and he's like, it's all right, man, it's all right. Like he's not trying to rush anybody. I was more trying to rush myself, because there's like this line of people that went all the way down the stairs and around the place, and I was just like trying to rush myself. And But anyway, and I met Lana too. This was 4 years ago now when they were in New Orleans the first time, back when it was Alexander Rusev and nobody knew who the hell they were. And half the people left the line when they saw it was them coming up. And I just stayed. I'm like, I'm going to meet this guy. And I remember telling him, I was like, you remind me, and I'm like, please don't take this the wrong way, because I mean this as a compliment, because, you know, with kids, rose-colored glasses, you think of everything's great. And I was like, you remind me of like a Coliseum video era heel. Like, I was like, I love you. And,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and he's like, thank you. I don't think he knew how to take it, but then again, half the line left for him anyway, so he's probably happy to see somebody.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't imagine at those things, like, you know, you show up and, you know, people think it's going to be someone else and they leave. I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah, no kidding, man. No kidding. So June is the date you're looking at, and you're fixing up a game plan. You talked about wanting to start working out, man. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, like I said, man, it kind of, you know, it actually does stem from you, man. And
thank you.
You're welcome, man. It's just it's such an inspiration to watch you do your thing, and I come to the point in my life, because I remember you saying it, man. You'll know when the right time is to start doing it.
Yes.
And when I moved back here, I think I'm at my heaviest, or I'm second heaviest. I was just like, you know what? Once I start work at this new job, which is, you know, cool. It's an at-home thing. I don't have to leave the house to do it. It's great. Yep. I'm going to sign up for a gym membership. The gym is literally like right down the street. A Planet Fitness, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to start doing it, and I'm going to start eating better. I actually just had a really good salad. I'm drinking a green juice right now that is really good. I don't understand how anyone can hate these kind of things. And I just want to change, man. I just want to, you know, I don't want to get super skinny and, you know, be, you know, built as Rusev, but like, I just want to be healthy and happy with myself, you know?
Right.
I have a lot of confidence in myself, and even with my size, I still have that confidence. But at the same time, I want to be healthy. I don't want to die at 50. I don't want to have what happened to Kevin Smith. And I use that as a motivation too, because I love that guy. He's one of my inspirations. And when that happened,
right,
I took a really big, deep look at myself. I'm like, I don't want to end up like that. I don't want to end up, you know, doing something that I love and, you know, being ready to go out and talk to a whole bunch of people in this crowd and boom, have a heart attack and almost die. You know what I mean? It's just, It's not the ideal situation for anyone. So, that's what I want to do. I just want to go hard at it, and, you know, I'll stumble along the way, I'm sure, and get tempted, but I have a good support system, and I'm going to try to document as much as I can, because I feel like that's a good way to help put yourself out there. Like,
yes.
I'm not afraid to show off what my body looks like right now. Like, I don't care. Like, people can laugh, people can be like, but it's I am admitting to myself that something needs to change. And that's the first step in anything that you want to move forward towards, is admitting what the core problem is and then moving forward and fixing it.
You want a good support system. Let me show you what happens right now. Give me your Instagram handle.
At Real G-Rod.
At Real G-Rod. Everyone right now, please listen to me, because I know there's a lot of you that listen to this podcast and we follow each other on Instagram and we've become friends and all that stuff. And I value everyone out there that has followed me and support me, much like I support you. And I want you guys to know right now, this guy, Glenn Rodriguez, has been a friend of mine for 10 years now. And I really need you guys to show up for him, man. Follow him right now, Real G-Rod. And that's just how it sounds, REALGROD, right?
Correct.
All right, guys, Real G-Rod, please help me out. Help this guy out. Show him some love. He's going to start documenting his journey. Show this man some love. Hit him up. This is one of my good friends of 10 years. That's crazy to say now. Like 10 years, dude. Unbelievable.
It's nuts, man. And I appreciate the shout out there. But yeah, man, it's been a long time. And, you know, I'm so happy that I can call you a good friend. And, you know, it's just cool that we're in contact still, for only meeting in person twice. It's nuts.
Yeah, that blows my mind. And it all started from wrestling internet radio, which is oddly enough a venue that I don't know if you heard about this, but I'm dipping my toes back in, which is crazy. I don't know what I'm getting myself into here, but I'm jumping back in.
Hey man, it's a lot of people. There's what can I say about wrestling podcasts? I'm still in the game. I don't talk as much wrestling as I used to. I still love it. I'm more of a New Japan kind of guy now, and I don't really get to talk that much about it on the show that I'm a part of. But it's fun, And you and I grew up with it. We still love it.
Yeah.
So it's a good outlet to kind of just get your thoughts out to the world, and the community is great when you find the right community, the right fans that will listen to you, and and they'll, of course, they'll remember you because the shoot was really really big at the time and everything, so they'll remember who you are, and they'll accept you back and all, and it's just really cool because the people I've met through doing Rant with Ant
right,
are amazing. They're a group of amazing people that they're not just wrestling fans either. Like, it's good to talk about wrestling with these people, but it's also awesome to find out who they are as people. And that's what I enjoy out of doing the wrestling show the most, is getting to know people on a personal level. Because I don't call our listeners. I call them family, friends. Like, they're just people that like to listen to our show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like to treat them as just, we're one and the same. We come from different backgrounds. We happen to like the same form of entertainment or sport, whatever you want to call it. And I enjoy it. So I'm happy that you're getting back into it because there's a lot of garbage out there, and I hate to say that, but the wrestling world needs more people like you out there for sure.
Well, I mean, here's the thing too, is I don't know what you know, but like I'm starting over. Like it's a whole new, it's a new name. It's a new everything. Like, I'm calling it Gary Watches Wrestling, and the concept is 15-minute or less podcast. Like, I'm getting you in and out in 15 minutes or less, everything you need to know. I have what I call the first 5, which is where I try to get you all the pertinent information in the first 5. And then if you want to hang out for the rest 5 to 10 minutes, I give my opinion. But like, it's something that I don't think a lot of people are doing, if anybody's doing. I mean, there's probably a few out there that are trying short form with like the Alexa out there and all that kind of stuff. But that's the game I'm trying to jump into right now, because that platform is exploding, the Alexa. And when I looked it up, there was maybe like 1 or 2 wrestling podcasts on the Alexa. And I'm like, this is where I need to be. So the idea is, and I'll run this by you because you've been in the game for so long and you're still in the game, but 15 minutes or less. First 5 is like the pertinent stuff, and then the second 5 to 10 is my opinion. I mean, does that sound appealing from like a wrestling fan? Because a lot of podcasts are an hour and a half, 2 hours, which is fine. I think there's room for that. I'm just saying I'm going to take the completely different approach and go way the hell over here and do something crazy, but maybe it might just work. What do you think?
I think it definitely will work, man. I think there's definitely an audience for that. Everyone's got one of those smart devices that are like home devices. A lot of them are Echo Dots. So like, it makes a lot of sense to do something like that. And I know, talking to some people out there that are just getting tired of these long, drawn out wrestling shows that they just go on and on about the same thing. And it's usually hating on Roman Reigns. Yeah. So it's like no one wants to listen to that anymore. Everyone wants, a good opinion, is someone who knows what they're talking about and doesn't sound like a radio NPR type of kind of thing. Like I told you, like we talked about in the beginning, it's all about that personal experience when you listen to someone, that they do not sound unauthentic. They sound genuine, and I think that definitely would work. And I'm not just saying that because we're friends.
Right.
I'm a positive guy. I actually believe that's something I would listen to.
No, I value your opinion. I actually just followed you on Twitter, so that way you can see what it is. But like, dude, that's why I put my name on it. Like, a lot of these people out there, like, they put like a fake name, or it's like some wrestler picture or whatever. Like, I'm putting my name on it. Like, everything I say has got my name on it. I tag my original Twitter with my name in the description. So if I have something opinionated to say about wrestler X, like, they're going to know who that's coming from, and they may not agree with it, but they'll at least respect that, hey, I'm putting my name out there. I'm putting my name on it. And that's not something that's done a whole heck of a lot, at least in the circles I've seen. And I just feel like 15 minutes or less, like, I value people's time. Like, if I told you that you could get smartened up on everything, like, Raw, like the next day, like on Tuesday, you would know what you would need to know in 15 minutes. Not that you probably wouldn't have watched it already, but let's just say you fell asleep or whatever, especially being on the East Coast, that they go off at 11 o'clock. It's like, I fell asleep. Here's Gary's podcast, 15 minutes, boom. Well, in 5 minutes, I knew every match result. I knew every angle. And then I wonder what he thinks. Okay, minutes 5 to 10 or whatever. Okay, here's what he thinks about this. And then you're done. Like, it's over.
Exactly. And, I'm afraid or ashamed to admit this, but I can't get through a episode of Raw or SmackDown anymore. It's kind of hard to do so, especially with, I don't get off from work till 9, and around that time I'm already exhausted. But I want to work on my personal stuff because I always put in time to do my personal projects because that's what you have to do to succeed. And I'll skip over and watch YouTube clips or skim through the Hulu version the next day. So something like that for people like me would be very appealing. So yeah, dude, go for it, do it up.
Sweet, man. I'm definitely gonna do that. I got to tell you, Glenn, this has been so much fun catching up. Speaking of value time, we've gone an hour. My listeners are like, oh my God, this is crazy. And this is the fun thing that happens too. It's not even that it's a long podcast. It's like we get to an hour, we don't even realize we've done an hour.
Yeah, it hasn't felt like an hour at all.
Yeah. So I'll say this, man. I'm not ashamed to say I freaking love you, dude. I've known you for 10 years now, and I want you to know that, whatever you're going through, whatever we talked about here, whatever we haven't talked about, whatever you're going through, man, I believe you're going to get through it. I believe you are a winner. You went to LA, freaking, you went and did it, and you stayed out there for years. You came back, you had a little thing, but you're going back, and I'm just like, dude, you're a winner, and I know you're going to win. That whole thing, hard work always wins. That's you. You're living that. You're going to do that. You've done it. You're going to do it again. And I believe in you. I just want you to know, man, I love you, dude. I believe in you. You will make it happen. I'm a firm believer. The next time we talk, you will probably be in LA. You're going to be back there before you know it.
I appreciate that, man. I love you too, brother. And I'm glad that we're still in contact because, I definitely gain a lot of inspiration from you, from your journey. And I appreciate that more than anything. And I'm so proud of you as well. And we will both be where we need to be. And we're going to keep rocking this thing, man. It's the life is just begun for you and I.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I'll put it to you like this. A lot of these people that I interview from like Instagram, new friends I've made, I'm going to start going back through some of these folks here soon to get updates as we're reaching 6 months, 8 months in or whatever. So I'm hoping the very next podcast we do is not on some damn Skype call. It's going to be me in LA. And I got this little portable guy here, and I'm going to have my 2 mics. And I hope that the next podcast catch-up we do, I'm in LA with you, and we're hanging out, and we're just talking about how you're freaking killing it, how you're winning, and whatever the heck I got going on. I just hope that, I know, I'm the hell with hope. I know that at some point we're going to be doing that.
I hope so, man. No, I don't hope so. It's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen, and I can't wait for it. It's going to be a great day.
I try to get that word hope out of my thing. There's no more hope. It's either you're going to make it happen or you're not.
I agree. I slipped up there. That's my bad.
No, I slipped up too. Don't even apologize. Dude, we both slipped up. It's all good, man. So this is the point of the podcast where I want you to lay it out. Tell everybody what you got going on. What do they need to know if they're like, man, I'm an hour in. I freaking love this guy. Where do I find him? And go. Boom.
All right. So you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at RealGrod as opposed to the fake one, some fake guy out there. I do a lot of things. I'm on 2 podcasts. I do Rant with Ant. If you're a wrestling fan, it comes out every Saturday via the Rant with Ant feed. We just left the NEI network. We're grateful for everything they've done for us, but we felt like it was time to say goodbye to the nest, go off on our own, do our own thing, and it's every Saturday on our feed. It's just Rant with Ant. We're available pretty much everywhere other than we're waiting for Spotify. And also Songs for a Moment, which is my favorite podcast I get to do because it feels like therapy every week we do it.
Yes.
We're on a hiatus right now. We're about to move forward onto our own feed as well. And just go to songspodcast.com or Songs Podcast on Instagram or Twitter to find out more information about it. And really soon, I think I might bring back another show that I started, and it was really fun. called the G-Rod Show, only because I need to talk about other things than music and wrestling, and I just want to get a lot of my opinions out there and stuff, and interview people too. So look forward to that. That's coming back very soon. And other than that, I got a lot of other projects coming along. So just keep on the social there, and follow me on there. So yeah.
Glenn, it's been such a pleasure. I'm so glad we did this. I'm so glad we could link up and make this happen. And again, dude, you're a winner. You're going to keep making it happen, and you're going to be back there before you know it, brother. I'm rooting for you.
I appreciate it, man. It was awesome to be on the show. And to everyone out there, keep listening to this guy. He's the man. I love him. He's going to do big things as well. So as you already know, because you've been listening. So there you go.
Get out of here, Glenn. You're making me blush. Thank you, sir. Have a great night. And thanks again, man, for doing this. This is awesome.
For sure, man. Thank you.